Math time. This is a classic rule. You're squaring numbers that end in 5. This one is amazing. You do it in your head. It's quite awesome. So let's do a simple example. If I have 25 squared, again, just as a brief recap, 25 squared is just 25 times itself. What you do is you look at this number, the number that's not the 5, and you add 1. So this is 3, and you multiply those two numbers together. 2 times 3 is 6, and then a number that ends in 5 squared is always going to end in 25 because 5 times 5 is 25. So 25 squared equals 625. Let's look at some examples. You can do this super fast, super fast. Okay, 15 squared. Well, 1 plus 1 is 2, so you do 1 times 2, which is 2, and then you add 25. So 15 squared is 225. 65 squared. Nobody knows that. You can figure it out in a second, though. 6 plus 1 is 7. 6 times 7 is 42, and then you always add 25 at the end. Remember, 25 always is the last two digits. There we go. This is a 3-digit number. It doesn't technically end in 5, but has a 0. So you can ignore the 0 and then add it back later through estimation. So we really have 45 squared. And to do 45 squared, we take the 4, we add 1, which is 5, and 4 times 5 is 20, and then it always ends in 25. Now, because you took the 0 away, remember this is 450 times 450. So really, you took the 0 away twice. You divided both of these numbers by 10. So you need to multiply by 10 2 times, meaning you have to add both of those zeros back. So my full answer here is 202,500. Again, in my head, mental math. So this one, initially, it may not look like a square, but we can treat it as such. Let's ignore the decimal and ignore the 0 on the right. So really, it is 75 squared. So 75 squared is what we're actually calculating. Then we can worry about the decimal and the 0 later. So 7 plus 1 is 8, and 7 times 8 is 56, and then it always ends in 25. And now we have to consider the decimal. There's a couple ways to do this. One, you can do it through estimation. You can try to think of, well, if this was like 10 times this number would be 7,500. It's got to be a little smaller than that. So this actually makes sense. The decimal should go here. If you don't like to estimate, I encourage you to estimate, but you can also think, okay, to make this number 75, I multiplied by 10. But then to make this number 75, I divided by 10. So here I multiplied by 10, and here I divided by 10. Essentially, those cancel each other out because when you multiply a number by 10, then you divide by 10, it's like you did nothing. So 75 squared is going to give me the final answer. I don't need to put that decimal anywhere. We have a 3-digit number. Doesn't matter. You take these two digits, everything that's not the 5, you add 1, you multiply them together. 11 times 12 is 132, then the number always ends in 25. So again, extremely rapidly, 13,225. Okay, just like before, this might not initially look like a square, but if we ignore the decimal, it really is 85 squared is what we're calculating. So you do 8, and then you multiply it by 9, which is 72, and then you add the 25. And this one we do have to consider the decimal. Well, this is like 85% of 85. So my answer is less than 85. It's not so much less, so you can quickly estimate it's got to be 72. The other way you can think about it is to make this number, 85, you have to multiply by 100. And to undo this multiplication by 100, you need to divide your final answer by 100, and that essentially moves this decimal right there. So either way, you can find out that's where the decimal goes. Okay, 950 times 9.5, just like before, the calculation is essentially 95 squared. So you take 9, you add 1, which is 10, and you multiply these two numbers together. 9 times 10 is simply 90, and then your answer always ends in 25. Now we have to consider the decimal. Well, 950 times 10 is 9500. 950 times 9.5 is going to be a little bit smaller, not much smaller, so it looks like we're good. This is where the decimal goes. You could also have thought about it that you had to multiply this number by 10, and then you had to divide this number by 10 to get 95, and those kind of undo themselves, so you're left with your correct answer. Okay, try some on your own. Challenge yourself. Awesome.